we're seeing here is the end of the loop. Well, it doesn't make any sense because loops don't have ends, strictly speaking. But we've completed the loop, and now we are heading back towards the entrance to the trailhead. And you can see this beautiful, pleasant valley here. The thunderheads forming in the distance. Flash floods are a real threat here, so it's good that we're leaving before the rain starts. So the temperature is about 98 degrees outside, but this place is still beautiful. They've gotten rain here recently, evidently, because there's a lot of green still here in the plants. This trail is relatively easy. It's really most of it consists of just basically a dirt road. There are some sandy spots where it is good to have four-wheel drive. You probably could do it without four-wheel drive, but four-wheel drive just makes it easier. And there was that one spot earlier, which was on a different video, where I came across that puddle, and it was muddy, and four-wheel drive really helped me get through that. Had I been in two-wheel drive, I might have gotten stuck. So four-wheel drive is not needed until you need it, as they say. I'm really only doing about 15 miles an hour. The wide-angle perspective on the camera, which is my phone camera, makes it look like I'm going a lot faster, but I'm really not going that fast. I don't drive fast on the trails. I'm not here to run a race or accomplish anything other than just enjoying myself and seeing the sights. That's what I got a four-wheel drive vehicle for. Just be able to access areas that I couldn't safely access with a two-wheel drive vehicle or a car. Doing about 20 miles an hour, so picked up some speed on the downgrade here. But you know, these trails can be deceptive. It looks pretty smooth here. It is sandy, but we're going downhill, so we're not going to get bogged down. And it's not very deep sand anyway. It's mostly surface sand. But what can lull you into a false sense of security is this nice, smooth trail, and all of a sudden you come across a huge rut. So you've got to really watch where you're going and not go very fast, especially when you're driving a stock vehicle like this one. This is a completely stock Jeep Cherokee that I'm driving. The only modification I have is slightly oversized tires, and I have a ham radio transceiver mounted in it. If you want to call that a modification. I'm not really about the vehicle so much as I am about the journey. Destination. You can probably hear, right here's a sandy spot here, you can probably hear the air conditioning going. I do use my air conditioning even on the trail. I find that it makes it easier because I don't have a lot of dust coming into the vehicle, which can, coat my cameras and me. But the danger with air conditioning is that you can become what I call air conditioning complacent, which means you're so comfortable in the car you don't want to stop and get out and look at anything. So that's a battle I've overcome. I make it a point to stop and get out and look at things quite a bit, which sort of limits me with other four-wheel drive drivers, because for a lot of folks it's really about the vehicle and driving off-road for its own sake, which is fine. It's fun. I like a nice rocky uphill grade with using my low range as well. but I also stopped to take a lot of photos. Oh, look, a Joshua tree. Joshua tree got its name from the Mormon pioneers who came through this area during the 1800s. According to the commonly accepted lore, the trees looked like Joshua opening his arms to welcome them into the Holy Land. So that's where the trees got their name, and that's, of course, the park is named for its preponderance of Joshua trees. There really isn't much in the way of water in the park. It's pretty dry most of the time. A lot of the water is underground. You can get water at the visitors centers, of course, but it's absolutely mandatory that you pack at least 2 or 3 gallons of drinkable water with you. I have a container, a plastic container in my cargo area that contains 6 gallons of water, and I have a 2-gallon jug, and I've also got my cooler. And what I do is with my cooler, I have a water purification pump that I use, so as the ice melts, I can actually use that water to drink from, because I think water accumulating in the cooler probably isn't the cleanest. I mean, there's nothing growing in there or anything, but specks of dirt and debris can find its way into the water. Okay, so now we're on a little bit of an upgrade here, and this is a little sandy. So here, I already have had my Jeep in 4-wheel drive, 4-wheel high, by the way. So I don't have to worry about first engaging it now. Shallow grade like this, you don't need low range. It's not really. There's no stress on the transmission and other drivetrain components on the relatively moderate grade. And again, you probably could get by with this, get by here with 2-wheel drive, but 4-wheel drive just makes it a little easier, get better traction. I feel that you have a little more control over the vehicle. Again, I'm doing about 20 miles an hour. Even if you do enjoy going fast and the thrill of it, Joshua Tree National Park is not the place to do it. That's frowned upon here. And why would you? It's so beautiful here. You can see these rock formations coming up on the right. Stop and look at that for a second. I'm just repositioning the camera. Okay, we'll continue. Okay, we've completed the loop. Check to make sure there are no cars or other vehicles. I haven't seen anybody here today, but there are other vehicles that do pass through here. And you gotta be careful. Now it's a little bumpy. So I'm gonna go nice and slow. Okay, so we're on the outward leg of the journey here, back toward the trailhead. A little bumpy here. Drive on these trails, it's best to leave yourself plenty of time so you're not rushed. You can't complete the whole thing in one day, turn around and go back. You can always come back another time. That's one thing I've learned over the years. I've been driving off-road in California for 12 years, roughly. This turn off to the right here is the entrance to the little hiking trail that takes you to Squaw Tank. That is a natural basin, which accumulates water sometimes. And miners, cowboys, shepherds have passed through here and have let their flock and their herds drink from that water. I will have some still photos of Squaw Tank from my hike there on my magazine site, and also on the trailsoffroad.com site if I can manage to upload it. So here we are going kind of slow. We have that annoying washboard effect. If I were to pick something that annoys me the most when driving off-road, it would be that. There's quite a bit of, I don't know what causes it. I've heard a few different theories. One theory is that it's just over time vehicles driving these routes somehow cause the sand to form these washboard sort of patterns. Other theories I've heard, it's just the wind causes the sand to accumulate that way. I just don't know. All I know is it is pretty annoying. I try to avoid it. One way to lessen the impact of the washboard is to go really fast over the washboard, because then you just sort of glide over it. The problem is, in this area, you don't want to go fast. This is not the kind of road to go fast on, because there are a lot of curves, and also you never know if you might come across someone else. I've even been out here. There are a lot of tourists who come out here with their cars, and so I've come across people stop in the middle of the road taking photos. So I just go slow. I'm actually considering dropping it into low range here. But we'll see how it progresses. Low range low range is not only to help you climb over rocks. Low range actually, it's sort of like riding a 10-speed bicycle. When you drop it down into first gear, it's easier to pedal, so it puts less stress on you and your legs and your feet. Well, it's sort of the same idea with low range in a four-wheel drive vehicle. Dropping it into low range, you'll go slower, but it also is less of a strain on the engine and drivetrain. I know I have to invest into a better mount for my phone. I just have it propped up on the dashboard at the moment. This is a fairly moderate grade though, so I'm going to leave it in high range. My engine is revving at about 1800 RPM, so if you keep the RPM high, that keeps the engine cool. Of hiking trails that branch off from these off-road trails. I must tell my wife about them when I see her later, because those will be places we want to check out when the weather gets cooler. She doesn't like the heat at all, and I'm not too fond of hiking in the heat either. So against using the air conditioning during off-road trips to cause your engine to overheat. I would say that's not true. As long as your cooling system is in good shape, that should not be a problem. Most vehicles manufactured after, I don't know, the late 90s, even if they have an engine-driven clutch fan like this one does, they also have an auxiliary electric cooling fan which kicks in to help. So I'm looking at my temperature gauge right now, and it's running slightly hotter than it normally does, but it's still well within the normal range. So it's not overheating. And when you have the air conditioning on, the auxiliary electric fan kicks in anyway. So there's no reason not to have your air conditioning unless you just want to feel the wind in your face, which is fine. I just am thinking of a more practical matter of keeping the dust off my equipment. So, and comfort. It is pretty hot. But, you know, there are people who come out to these places in vehicles that don't have air conditioning, they don't even have doors. I'm not really that hardy. I prefer a few creature comforts. Stop and just take a glance at this rock formation here. Got a nice shot of the radio antenna. Plug the phone charger back in. There we go. I'll just hold the phone with my hand. Okay, well, we're just about off the, coming back, approaching the trailhead here, so I'm going to shut the video off. I hope you've enjoyed this, and if you have any questions, you can send me an email. The email address is SanNSky8@gmail.com. Thank you for watching.